Hey guys, it's Holly. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Links will be in the description down below. Welcome to another one of my vlogs. This week, as you can tell from the title, we are talking about my book because, you know, I'm not going to shut up about it for a while. I've tried to make a rough list of what I want to talk about, so I'm hoping this isn't going to be too all over the place, but we will see. So, if you don't already know, I have released a book. It came out on the 23rd of March. There is a book trailer which I will link in the description, and obviously all the details about where you can find it, websites, social medias and stuff will be in the description as well. And I just wanted to talk a little bit more about it, you know, why I wrote it, kind of what it's about, what it means to me, you know, that stuff. I don't know, I thought maybe you'd find it interesting, and I like rambling, so there you go. So it's called Insane. I might as well start there. So it's called Insane, and I don't know if you can see. And then over the top, it has a reflection, and it says, I'm insane. I'm assuming that's going to be backwards for you. Is that backwards? Oh, I really don't know. I can't figure this stuff out. But, yeah, so, and the reason is because the whole kind of underlying concept and theme is the idea that kind of like one person's perception of something isn't another person's perception of something, and like I think Tim Burton said one person's craziness is another person's reality. So it's like insane, I'm sane, so it's like the different how someone perceives themselves and like the different ways you can look at something, right? If that makes sense. I hope I'm making sense. So it's about a serial killer. I wrote it for my EPQ, which is an extended project qualification, where basically it's kind of like an equivalent of an A-level. No, that's a lie, an AS level, and it's like an independent study kind of qualification topic thing, and you're supposed to do a 5,000 word essay on something. So people would do it on like, I don't know, does weed affect schizophrenia? I'm saying that because I think that's what my friend did. So, you know, and then you have an essay title, you do research, and then you write an essay and it gets graded. So you can do that, or you can do an artifact, and I decided to do an artifact, which was this. So basically I just made way more work for myself. But the reason I did that was because I have written a book before, but I got to the, one thing that I've heard said before is like, the first book you write, you put in a drawer and you never touch. So, and like when I was writing my first book, I was like, meh, but it's actually so true. I got to the last chapter and I was just like, I don't like this anymore. So I didn't actually finish it. So I literally am in the last chapter and I didn't finish it, which is that kind of kills me a little bit, but I will go back to it eventually. But I think I want to say 13, 14 when I started writing it. So, you know, I have a very young head, so I need to go back to it with kind of fresher eyes when I'm a little bit older. But I wrote it and then I started another book as well, which kind of had the similar kind of basis. It's called Perfect Gentleman. It was about an assassin who did stuff just for herself, so she didn't work for other people necessarily. And it was that idea, like coming from the villain's point of view, because what I found when I read books, and this is the reason I wanted to write one like this, is because, and this is just from my experience, so if you have books or stories that don't do this, I would love to read and watch them, so please list examples. But in my experience, I found that if it's from the villain's point of view, if the villain is the protagonist, if that makes sense, like, because obviously it's their story, if they're the main person and it's from their point of view, they always have a sob story, they always have a reason why they're like that, and that just really upsets me. Because it just, actually no, it doesn't, it annoys me, it irritates me, because it's like Hannibal Lecter, for example. I love him, I love the author. Hannibal Lecter is an incredible character, but I hated Hannibal Rising because it gave him, Hannibal Rising is basically about how he became Hannibal Lecter, and I just didn't like that he gave him a sob story, you know? And I think sometimes that's necessary for a character, but I feel like it's almost like instinctive and natural to want to give them a sob story. So when I was writing this, I was like, I really need to, it was really difficult not to try and make her, because she's a likeable character, the main character, the serial killer, but she's likeable in different ways, not in her actions. Like, she's kind of like quite funny, quite sarcastic, quite like sassy. I hate that word, but I can't think of another word. You know, she's quite like, got quite a dark sense of humour, so it's like she's quite like cool, you know? But like morally most people won't relate to her, which is fine, and I don't think you have to relate to a character in every sense, which is why I thought, you know what, why not just go all out and do it for a serial killer. And so I didn't finish this book, so I'd then written 2 books that I'd started and not finished. So I was like, you know what, if I do this for my EPQ, then I have a deadline that I have to get it in by, and then I'm basically killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I was such an idiot. So basically, it's like you have a year to do the whole thing. I didn't decide I was going to do this. I was going to do a different kind of essay on morals and stuff. I didn't decide I was going to write this until May. I started writing it in in summer, and I spent like 2 weeks on it and stopped. And I think I wrote, what did I write up to? No, I wrote that. I wrote about 80 pages. This book has 346 pages in it, so I wrote 80 pages in about 2 weeks, and then I stopped and put it down and didn't look at it again. And then it got to September, and I had to hand the book in December. No, yeah, I had to hand it in December, which means I had to have it finished by the end of middle of November, because I needed to get it printed. So I then ended up writing it in two months, which is not smart, was not sensible. My EPQ title, I had to have a title, was develop a book which explores the different perceptions, which explores the different influences on people's perception of the morality of killing. Let me say that again. Exploring the different influences of people's perceptions of the morality of killing people. So it's very, very specific. And basically, so I wanted to kind of look into like how people form morals and stuff, because I'm doing philosophy at uni, and I really believe that, like, I mean, if you look at all the moral theories and stuff, literally there's so many that are directly opposite, that if you have one action, one of them will say it's right and one of them will say it's wrong, depending on what they value. And they both make sense at their roots, like all of them make sense at their roots, but obviously when you expand them, they then have so many flaws. So then I'm like, well, if they all have so many flaws, then none of them are real. So basically, morality is just bullshit. And so that's kind of like where I'm going with it. Like, you know, how do people develop morals, and how do people change their morals depending on what happens in their life and their environment. So I've got Avery in here, who she's supposed to be like nature, where I feel like it's almost natural if you have some sort of thing like some news, or either a killer or, well, yeah, a killer, you know, you think, oh, well, they must be crazy. There must be a reason they did it. Which is a completely natural thing to think. But the actually looking into it, there's 4 types of serial killers, and only one of those types is clinically insane. There is definitely signs of a serial killer. There's traits that a lot of them do have. For example, a lot of them have been abused in their childhood. But that isn't a cause and effect. You know, people will say, oh, well, they kill people because they were abused in their childhood. But that's not the reason, if that makes sense. Because if it was, it's not cause and effect. Because if it was, then everyone who was abused in their childhood would be a serial killer. You know, so cause and effect is, I don't know if you, you know, it's cause and effect is when, if this happens, then this happens. So I can't think of an example that actually is cause and effect now. If you have a domino thing standing up, and I think this is it, I'm not a teacher, so I have no idea what I'm talking about, but you knock one down, the rest will follow, and that's cause and effect, right? So there's a cause and then there's an effect. But the past of serial killers or criminals in general, there isn't any cause and effect. There isn't, because otherwise we would have it narrowed down. We would know that they're going to be a serial killer if they were abused. They're going to be a serial killer if their parents are divorced. Like, you know. So my point is, Avery, the main character, I wanted her to not have a stop story, not have something that people could latch onto to say, oh, well, she does it because of this. She does it because she had a sad childhood. She, you know, whatever. Which, and just kind of like accept that she did it just because she treats it as a hobby. And that's obviously a very foreign concept to a lot of people. Whenever I say that, people go like, you know, but she does. She treats it as a hobby, and a lot of serial killers do treat it as a hobby, like the way I explain it. And it's a whole, the reason I did it as an extremist killing is because obviously that's a whole other step. But, you know, if you really want to bring it down to basics, which is what I do a lot of the time to kind of like logically think things through in my head, some people enjoy golf, some people enjoy horse riding, some people like skydiving, some people don't, some people are terrified of heights, some people love heights. So it's like, and those things, some of them are, yes, definitely caused by X, Y, Z, but some of them are just our personalities, and they're just how it's manifested. So that's kind of how I wanted it to be perceived. I hope I'm making sense. You know, so she does it just because she enjoys doing it, just because it's something that she likes to do. And yeah, and I want to make it very, very clear that I'm not trying to condone or justify or say that killing is right in any respect. But the reason I went with killing is because it's an extreme of what I'm trying to say. So it just kind of, it's just the best way to kind of get a response. But I strongly believe that morals are on an individual basis. So the tagline of this book is, who are you to judge? So I really strongly believe that just because I wouldn't do something doesn't mean it's wrong. And that's not, I'm not just talking about killing, I'm talking about everything. Just because, so people get plastic surgery just because maybe in the future I will, but you know, just because right now I don't have the belief that I want to get plastic surgery doesn't mean that someone else getting it is wrong. You know, I mean, monogamy in relationships, a lot of people are for it, a lot of people are against it, and it doesn't mean that just because I have an opinion that differs from someone else's, and my opinion's wrong or their opinion's wrong, or their actions are wrong or mine are wrong. So it's like, it's just like, to be honest, the main thing I wanted to get out of the character was the fact that basically just to not be so judgy, just to not project your own morals onto someone else. Because if there was a universal moral theory and there was universal morality, then we would all be using it by now. I mean, philosophers have been studying morality for hundreds of years, so thousands of years, I guess. So, you know, so if there was one, we would be doing it, which means that and then so another one which a lot of people subscribe to now is intuitionism, or which is basically the idea that what your gut feeling tells you is right and wrong is right and wrong. That's your morals, which I do agree to a certain extent, but the issue comes with that is then people will kind of do the role reversal tests of like, oh well, what would I have done in that situation? I wouldn't have done that, which means that what that person did was wrong, and because I wouldn't have done it, you know. So it's like, so that, and also you know, people have different intuitions, otherwise, well, they do, everyone has different intuitions, otherwise there wouldn't be so much disagreement in the world, you know. So there's issues with every single moral theory, which means that in my opinion morals on a universal level do not exist. You know, it's just on an individual, but I have very, very strong morals, but they're on an individual basis. I believe that a fly is equal to a person. I'm not going to go into why I think that, but I do. And I am completely aware that hardly anyone thinks that, you know. And that doesn't mean what I think is wrong, and that doesn't mean what they think is wrong. You know, I think I'm repeating myself now, but that's kind of like what I wanted to try and get at, and I wanted to kind of explore the different influences of why people think a certain way depending on their environment. So then you have the detective, so it's from two points of view. It's from Avery's point of view and the detective who's working her case, Harry's point of view. And you have, excuse me, he had a tough upbringing, so you see kind of through that how his morals have developed and how he thinks and what he thinks is right and wrong and how he acts. And then you have a couple other people who, depending on their environments and their upbringing, act in a certain way. And I just, yeah, so I really hope that I'm making sense. Sometimes when I explain this to people, I make perfect sense. Sometimes I make no sense. So I really hope I'm making sense. But that's basically what I wanted to go. Now, actually, so that's kind of like the underlying themes of the book. And you can, I wanted, one thing that was really important to me with this book was I wanted it to make it so that you could just sit down and you can enjoy it as a nice easy, well, it's easy read as in like the language isn't difficult, but it's not an easy read like, I mean, you know, it's not a fairy tale. Actually, fairy tales are really gruesome anyway, the original ones, but I'm getting off topic. So I wanted to make it so that you could either just have a nice read, and that's fine, or, you know, you could read it with kind of the themes, the underlying themes in mind, and there's more to it than just a story. That's kind of really what I wanted to get out of it. So you do not have to take anything on board that I'm saying. If you are interested in this, you don't have to listen to anything I'm saying, and you can read it as a nice, I hope nice, fingers crossed for the reviews, psychological thriller that, yeah, basically, or you can look at it kind of, and I wanted to make it so that if you read it again, you would notice different things, you know, and I hope I did. I hope I achieved it. I don't know, because only like a handful of people have read it up to this point, because I haven't released it yet. So yeah, but actually, so that's kind of like the underlying things, and actually I'll talk a little bit about the actual story. I don't want to give too much away because the whole thing is very ambiguous, and I tried to make it very ambiguous, so people didn't have any expectation for when they were going into it, because for me, when I read a blurb and I think it's going to go down one route and it doesn't at all, I end up not liking the book, and not because it's a bad book or because it's a bad story, because it's just not what I expected, because the blurb gave me a certain impression, and that completely, I think, makes someone biased and masks their kind of opinion. And then if there has been a blurb that goes exactly how I wanted it to go, I thought, oh, it's predictable. Do you know what I mean? So I wanted to make it so the actual back, so on the Amazon page it's got a little bit more description, but on the actual back it's got Avery Blake introducing herself. So it's really not, it's very, very basic, so I don't want to talk too much about the story, but basically Avery has been killing for 15 years. She is very organised. She's been doing it for 15 years. She knows how to get away with it. And she lets her impulses get the better of her and ends up digging her own grave. And, you know, she has to try and get herself out of a sticky situation, basically. And there is someone who knows who she is and what she's done, and they have a grudge, and they want to see her go down, basically. So that's kind of, well, that's the story. So it's got lots of twists and turns in it, I hope. It's also got the parallel of the detective who is working her case, and kind of this person who has a grudge against her and is trying to make her go down for her own killing. So it's not like she's going down for a crime that she didn't commit. You know, they're influencing the case as well. So it's kind of, you see it from two points of views. And yeah, that's basically the gist of the story. It's kind of, you know, she's trying to find out who the hell is after her, because she doesn't tell people. It's not something that she puts on her, tattoos on her head, or like waves a neon sign. So she doesn't tell people, so she's like, I have no idea who knows. So she's trying to find out who it is, and she's also trying to get herself out of the sticky situation, which she was an idiot to get into, basically. And I think I want to say that is everything. I've been talking for a long time now, and man, am I going to have to cut this down. I really hope that this wasn't, well, if you're still at the end, then well done. I hope that this made sense. I hope that you kind of enjoyed it a little bit. If you are interested in the themes and stuff behind it, I have written a couple blogs, and I will be continuing to upload blogs, but not every week, kind of every other week kind of thing, about morality and serial killers and everything, because actually it's a really interesting topic just in general. So if you are interested in that kind of stuff, then please check out the website. The blogs are all on there. And I think that is everything. If you want to look at the book trailer, that will be in the description as well. This beauty is on Amazon, and I think that's everything. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you. I hope I didn't scare you too much with my beliefs, and I will see you on Friday. Bye guys.